Hello and welcome to the LCEF webinar for the Economic Opportunity Fund grant application. Today we're going to be reviewing the individual application. We have three application types: business, nonprofit, and individual. If you're a self-employed individual and you don't have a formal business LLC or other business type set up, then this is the webinar for you. We hope you get as much information as possible out of this webinar, and hopefully it will give you a general overview of our grant purpose and our application process. But just so you know, with any specific questions about your opportunity or the grant you are trying to apply for, you can contact either me, my name is Lisa, or you can contact Dorian at our office, and the number is 504-895-2800. And I'm going to scroll down. This is the home page of culturaleconomy.org. And you can see here, it says I'm experiencing downgraded audio. So I have Microsoft Word opening. I'm just going to close that real quick. I hope that you can hear me. This right here on the Contact Us on the home page of our website, you can see this phone number right here for our New Orleans office, and then also my email address and Dorian's email address. That's lisa@culturaleconomy.org or dorian@culturaleconomy.org, or the phone number, and that's how you can get in touch with us. As I said before, all of your lines are muted. If you have questions that are urgent during the presentation, you can type them in the question box. If not, I'll answer all the questions at the end. I'm going to start by going over just a couple of things on our website. Hopefully you're familiar with our website, but if you aren't, I'd like to point out that right here on the Stay Informed of News and Updates, if you're not already signed up for our online digital newsletter, please click here where it says subscribe to Cultural Connections. We send a monthly digital newsletter out. It has all kinds of news and information about LCEF, our grant program, as well as our healthcare initiative. And we also post other resources that we hear about that can be helpful to our cultural workers, including other funding opportunities, especially since our grant round only comes up once a year and we have limited funds. So if you look here on this resources tab, you'll see all the different types of opportunities we post: call to artists, contests, other funding and grants, job opportunities, etc. So you should familiarize with yourself with this section. We have an RSS feed subscription that you can do, and like I said, these resources are also in our monthly newsletter. So hopefully you'll sign up for that. Now I'm going to go to the EOF grant drop-down and click on Guidelines. This is going to, I'm just going to briefly go over a couple of highlights, but hopefully either you already have thoroughly read this section of our website or you will thoroughly read it after this presentation. I'm going to click on deadlines first and just point out a couple of important deadlines to you. All of these stories, oh, this isn't the section I want, I apologize. EOF grant cycle timeline has the calendar that I'm looking for. Okay, all of the stories on our website are like little blurbs, and in order to see the full story, you need to click the Read More. So if you click Read More, you'll see this complete calendar. Obviously, today you are on the individual application webinar. On August 15th, we've set a deadline for draft review. So if you complete your online application and you'd like advice from either Dorian or myself before you submit it, you can give us a call or email me and let me know, and I'll get your email and your password and log in and take a look at it. hopefully we can't make any guarantees, but we can review it and advise you to whether we think you've answered all the questions that the review committee may have. Make sure you're submitting the most competitive application possible. So if you'd like us to review that, we'd like for you to get it in by August 15th. Now, the grant application deadline is August 31st. That is at 5:00 p.m. It is an online submission, and the online system will not accept submitted applications even at 5:01. So my advice is to plan to submit it early, at the latest a couple days before, because what happens is the online system gets jammed up with everyone trying to submit at the last minute, and then inevitably we have people calling saying, it's 4:59 and I'm pressing submit and it's not going through. So just a word of advice, give yourself a little time on that. Once we have the submissions, we'll have a grant review process that involves a committee of cultural economy leaders from around the state, and we send the final recommendations to our board for approval. And our plan is to have all the recipients announced no later than November 1st. And with that, the grantees will get grant agreements. They'll have to send them back to us for checks. We'll get the checks out by the end of the year, hopefully starting no later than November 15th. So that's a little bit about the calendar of events and how this is all going to happen. I'm now going to go to the guidelines, and I'm not going to go through every single piece of the guidelines, but I'm just going to point out a few highlights. Okay, the purpose of the EOF grant is to increase the entrepreneurial capacity and economic health of our cultural producers. What does that mean? That means that we want to fund something that's going to bring in additional income for you and help you become more self-sustained. Okay, we make these grants to individuals, nonprofits, and cultural economy businesses to increase income through a unique opportunity. By unique, we mean something that's outside or a little bit different from what you're already doing, and also hopefully it's just unique in general. The most unique and innovative ideas tend to get funded. So that's what we're really looking for, you thinking kind of outside of the box. We do not fund general support dollars, or, for example, if you're a painter and you need new paintbrushes, that's not something we're going to fund, because that's something that's you're already using paintbrushes in your daily work. We would fund something unique, like maybe it's some new type of software that will allow you to paint online or something. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out. So that's kind of the purpose of our grant. I'm going to go back to the guidelines so that I can just scroll through the headlines and tell you a little bit about who can apply. You must be an individual who's already working in your field, and you must reside in the state of Louisiana. Who's not eligible to apply? Full-time students, anyone living outside of Louisiana, and then also churches and government entities, which wouldn't apply to individuals. If you've received a grant from LCEF in the past, you are eligible, because we will allow you to receive one grant per year, and this is our only grant round. In these lists of EOF supports and EOF will not support, we do have kind of examples of things we funded. For example, travel, materials and supplies, equipment, things like this. However, I'd like to encourage you not to think about, will you pay for a conference? Will you pay for travel fees? Will you pay for this? A lot of people will call and ask that question. With our grant program, it's better to think about, what is the opportunity? Like, what is the income opportunity? And then, what do you need in order to realize that opportunity? We'll fund anything that's related to this new business idea that you have, whether it's travel to a conference, whether it's a piece of equipment, whether it's a professional development consultant, anything like that. So instead of saying, you know, will you fund this supply or whatever it is, ask me, will you fund, you know, an opportunity for me to create a new product, and I need this to do it. So I hope that makes sense. I'd like to point you out to this helpful hints for writing a successful application. If you click read more, it's going to show you some of the things that we recommend that you think about as you're writing your application. And then also down here we have the following criteria are used by reviewers. So you can see that when the people are reviewing your application, we encourage them to, you know, think about, is it clear and specific what you're asking for? Very many times individuals will have an idea and they'll speak of it in such general terms that we can't get a picture. So any specific details that you can give that will support what you're requesting are encouraged. We're not going to grade you on grammar or spelling or anything like that, but you know, we'd like to see a proposal that's well thought out. Innovation and creativity. We want it to be something that's different for you, and you know, if it's an innovative, different idea in general, that's a plus as well. You've established that the opportunity will be completed based on the budget presented. If the budget is greater than the $2,500 maximum grant, we want to know that you've either already secured the additional funds or that you have a means to get them. You demonstrate the ability to capitalize on the earned income opportunity. This means you either know that there's a market for it, you've had requests for it, you know, how are you going to earn income? Many people have wonderful ideas for innovative products or other, you know, very creative pieces of art or whatever it is, but they don't know how to bring it to market, they don't know how to promote it, or we don't know if there's even a market for it, if it's something people are willing to pay for. So any type of research you can do to give us this information is going to support your request. Obviously, we want to know that the opportunity has potential to increase your income, and if it's going to benefit other cultural workers or benefit the overall cultural economy of the state, that is also a plus. And quality of contracted consultants, and I'll get into that in the review of the application. So as I said, the maximum grant amount for an individual is $2,500. If you're on the line and you happen to be a nonprofit or a business, unfortunately, we've maxed those grants out at $2,500 as well. Collaborative applications, we will consider increasing the amount, but only in a very special circumstance. And I'll talk about collaborative applications when we get into the application. And then you can read through some of these other things, grant payment and reporting. I'm going to go straight into the application itself.
Lisa, am I a person that's in charge? I can't stand it.
I'm going to go ahead and take care of something real quick. You're not listed as in my webinar. Okay. Dorian's still trying to log on, unfortunately. Okay, people have been calling with questions, so she has been tied up. But let me take a quick look. And I don't have any unanswered questions from people that have typed in, so hopefully people are just holding their questions to the end and everything seems to be going smoothly. Okay, on the home page of culturaleconomy.org, we have this little scroll thing. The first story, which I'm clicking on this menu here at the bottom, is that's the webinars, which you're currently on. The second one is 2012 EOF applications open. If you click read more, you're going to see the three buttons that you can click on for business grant, nonprofit grant. Today I'm going to click on the individual grant button. Once you click on that button, it's going to take you to this login page. If you have never applied for a grant before, you're going to need to click here to create your password, and you create your login. If you've applied in the past, you can use your same email address and login that you've used in the past. And if you have questions about that login information, please contact us rather than create a new login, because that can complicate things. So you can either contact us or click the Need Support or Forgot Your Password button at the bottom of that previous screen and have someone help you with your password. Now, I've selected all these different organizations that I apply under, but today I'm going to apply as an individual. Usually, you just have like your one contact information, and you just click that button and continue. Now, this brings you to this kind of home page of your application. It should say welcome and your name. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the page. If you have applied in the past, you'll see your other applications and the dates you submitted them and what the amounts were. In this case, I'm working on an application called New Product Line, Innovative Sculpture Designs, and I'm going to click Continue and continue into this application. If this is your first time and you're creating it starting from scratch, you're going to click Start a New Application. This Continue Your Application feature is great because at the bottom of each page I'm going to show you, you'll see this button, Save and Proceed. That means you can save your work, log out, and come back to it later. You don't have to complete this application all in one sitting. So you'll click this checkbox to match this individual with this application and click Save and Proceed. All right. Oh, I was going to have this jewelry designer as one of my collaboratives, but then I changed my mind. So in my little mock example here that I've created, I am submitting a collaborative application with a sculptor named John Doe. He's self-employed. So what I'd like to show you is that if you are collaborating with an individual or business, you just tell me the name of the person, the name of their business, and what their artistic discipline is. And so that's what I've done here. In a collaborative application, you list the other collaborating partners, and they should be referenced in what their roles are in your grant. But one person needs to take the lead of the collaborative and fill out their own personal information in this demographic report like I've done here. So here's my name and address and all of my information. If you have social media URLs, if you have a website, we'd like to see all that. Description of your work gives us an idea of what you currently do as a cultural worker. So in this instance, I'm a freelance graphic designer, and I work for agencies that don't have in-house departments. And then I have my income. That's my personal individual income and my type of employment. And I go to the next, Save and Proceed. Let me check on Dorian 1 second. Oh no. Okay. Here is just general demographic questions. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I didn't mute Dorian's lines. There's feedback. General demographic questions you answer about yourself. And the household income, that's for all persons in the household. So if you live alone, it would be the same as the income question on the previous screen. And if not, it would be combined. Okay, I'm going to click Save and Proceed and go to the next page. Now this is what I call the meat of the application, the About Your Opportunities section. And this is the section that whether you're applying as a business or a nonprofit or an individual, the questions are the same. So I'm going to go through each of these question types and kind of explain what we're looking for And I have some examples in my little mock application, and then maybe also some questions that you can think about as you're creating your individual application. So first, opportunity title. Hopefully you'll choose a title that highlights the main element that you're applying for and is specific enough that we can look at it and know what it is that you're trying to do. I'm going to go through kind of the suggested things for each question, which includes these instructions right here. And then I'm going to go to the end of the application because you can more fully see my answers to these questions and they're not in these little boxes. I'll also make a note right here. You'll see these kinds of like description of opportunity, this paragraph box, it's got a drop down. You can't see the whole thing all at once. So if it's easier for you to construct your answers in a Microsoft Word or other type of word processing program, it's recommended that before you copy and paste that information directly into the application, that you copy and paste it first into a text edit or notepad and then into the application. You might find if you try to go directly from Word to the application that the character count changes. So that's the suggestion of how to handle that. So the description of opportunity here, the brief description of how the opportunity will earn income for you should be concise but thorough. How is this opportunity different from your normal activity? I'm going through this quick because I'm going to show you the full thing at the end. How will you earn additional income? How will you convert it into earned income, including what are your sales channels, what is your distribution, who are your established connections? What are the long-term benefits? How will it advance your career as a cultural worker? And then we have location, marketing plan, and some other questions down here. I'm going to click Save and Proceed because I'm going to review the whole thing. At the end of the application, the online application, you're going to see the whole application for you to review. Here's the budget page, which I may come back to, but once you are finished, you're going to click Save and Proceed, and you're going to see a snapshot of the entire, oh, it's not letting me because I haven't uploaded something. See, once you get into the application, I'm just going to upload a random file so that it'll let me through. But as you are working on your application, if you click Save and Proceed to the next page and you haven't answered one of the required questions, it's not going to let you move forward. So just know that's good because you're not going to be able to leave anything blank that's required. Once you come to the end, oh, I apologize. Did I upload that in Work Samples? I'm uploading it in Resume. I didn't do it correctly. Well, here's a good opportunity for me to show you how to upload a file. So I'm going to click Upload File. I'm going to click this Browse button. I'm going to go to my desktop where I have my resume saved. Here's the Word document. That is my resume. I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to click Upload File. That might have been the step I skipped a second ago. So here it says Files Already Uploaded, Practicum Proposal, which should be Lisa Baconi's resume. And then I'm going to click Done. And here it shows up now in my application. Underneath Upload File, the number 1 and the file I just uploaded. So that's how you upload a file. It's going to be the same for Work Samples, which I'll talk about in a minute. All right, I'm going to click Save and Proceed so that we can review the application as a whole, and it will be easier to talk about than looking in those little boxes. So here's the contact information and personal information we entered, the demographic information, and now we get to the About Your Opportunity section. Okay, so I've made this little mock application, and my opportunity line is I'm going to develop a new product that's going to be called Innovation Sculpture Designs. Okay, the description. I said I've teamed up with 2 other designers. That's an error. I've teamed up with 1 other designer because I'm submitting this as a collaborative application. And then I describe what we're doing. Our unique sculptures will be functional pieces of art for the home, and then I explain how I'm going to do it. I use a graphic design program to design the sculptures, and my experienced sculptor friend John Doe is going to execute the designs. John Doe and I will collaborate on the overall design of the pieces. All the designs are customizable and can be made to order, but we'll also create stock pieces that will display at art markets and sell on our website. And now I'm going to tell you how we came up with the idea. John and I traveled to California last summer where we saw a similar concept, and the graphic design software we need to create the pieces is proprietary, but the inventor has offered to sell it to us. It's not yet on the market for mass sale. So I'm pointing out that this is a special opportunity for us and no one else has this technology. So some of the things that we're looking for here is a description, how you're going to do it, how you came up with the idea, what you need us to fund in order to complete the idea, how the product will benefit your business overall. We just want a complete snapshot. So if someone reads this paragraph here, they can tell what you're trying to do, what you're asking for, and kind of a complete story, like a little summary. The next question is, how is this opportunity unique for you? So if you remember in the demographic information, we asked you a little bit about your current work as a cultural worker. And in that paragraph, I explained that I'm a freelance graphic designer and I do pretty much advertising work. So I'm going to tell you now how this is different for me. This is, since I do this advertising work, my work is driven by my clients, and I haven't had the opportunity to do anything creative. So this will be a good creative outlet for me. And then my partner does fine arts, but this product line will be more marketable and saleable for him. So I'm just explaining what, I already told you what I currently did in the demographic section, but I'm reminding you. And then I'm telling you how this is different. It's similar to what I already do because I'm still going to use my graphic design skills, but it's a new opportunity. Okay, how will you earn additional income? So in this question, we're looking for maybe how you're going to price the item, who you're going to sell it to, what contacts do you have, what are the current demands for the product, things like that. So I'm using the example of, and I'm talking in general terms. The more specific you can be, like if you could actually say how much what's the price range, $50 to $75 I plan to sell these things for. It's going to cost me $20 to produce it so that my profit is X amount. And, I plan to be able to produce X number in a month. I mean, sometimes you can get that specific, especially if it's like a product like this. Sometimes you can't get that specific, and that's okay. I'm just pointing out that you should try to be as specific as you can. What are the long-term benefits of this financial opportunity? And I'm putting here the long-term benefits are that we feel if the business goes well, we could possibly open a gallery, so that's going to expand the business. We feel like, we could use this program to create other designs and other applications. So just, in your own words, what are your goals for the future for your business and for your idea? How is it going to sustain itself over the long term? How will it advance your career as a working artist? Maybe, you'll gain more respect, you'll have more professionalism, those kinds of things. So we want to make sure that the thing you are applying for isn't just a one-time shot. I'll use this to make money and, in the next 12 months I'm going to have a boom. But how is it going to sustain itself in the coming years? So we want it to be a long-term opportunity. Then I have the location of the opportunity. That can be where you're located, New Orleans or whatever other city, but I've put, other things because I'm going to market this product nationwide. Okay, what is your marketing plan? So this is really important because very many times people will submit applications for ideas that are brilliant, but we don't see that they have a plan to let people know about whatever it is that they're producing or selling, the idea or the service or the product or whatever it is. So we want to know that you've thought out how you're going to promote it. And we also want to make sure that you have the dollars to do that. So if you're an existing business or you're a nonprofit and you have an in-house marketing department that already has these systems in place and you just have to plug this in, we want to know that. If you're an individual and you don't have a lot of extra dollars to do marketing, then we want to see how creative you can be with a small amount of money. For example, using social media, using a website that you already have or that you will create, becoming a member of different artist networks, or even the chamber or other things like that, in order for you to network and get the word out about what you're doing. It also depends on who your target market is. So if you're selling to businesses, then becoming a member of the chamber makes sense. If your target market is somewhere else, then a different network might make sense. For example, I know there's Etsy and other online marketplaces you can join. So, be creative and think of different ways you can promote your product at the lowest possible costs. That's where you'll want to list these types of things. Then we have in the event of partial funding, will you be able to complete the opportunity? The reason we ask this question is because since the maximum grant is $2,500, and that's not a lot of money, and if your idea costs more than that to execute, we want to know that our $2,500 is going to make a difference, and that you're going to have the additional funds to put up to fund it fully, and that it will happen. So that, either you'll say, no, we won't be able to do it without that money, or, we may be able to do a portion of it. You can give that explanation. Have you received LCEF funding in the past? Yes or no. If you have, just describe the opportunity. And then the date opportunity begins means if you get this money, when can you start? If you can start as soon as you get the check, then you can put that. If it's like, oh, we have to wait for the spring to get this new technology, then we want to know that too. These questions down here, any particular ethnic groups that will be served, etc., these are just demographic information that is sometimes requested from our funders, so you can just answer accordingly, and those are not required questions. But hopefully, if you have the information to give us, we'd love to have it. Okay, here's the opportunity budget. Now, for example, and this is what I just talked about a minute ago with the question previously that says, will you be able to complete the opportunity if partially funded? So, for example, I'm requesting $5,000. Now, I did tell you that in the collaborative applications, we'll consider a funding higher than the max. There's no guarantee. So if you have any more specific questions about what you're applying for and what your budget is, you can give me a call, and I'll give you a guideline of how much you can request. But, traditional single individual application would be $2,500. So let's pretend that this is an individual application and I can only get $2,500. Okay, my budget is $5,000. That's the total budget. And what I want to see in your line item budget, and this is just a sample, I've discussed this software program that I'm going to need, and that's how much it is, $2,000. Now, I might need some specific supplies that aren't related to my current line of work that will be related to this new line of work. So I've kind of blanketly thrown $1,000 for supplies. If you can give me a more itemized list, that would be great, because when we see, kind of a large dollar line item, we get suspicious that you haven't done your homework. We can really tell when people have researched the actual prices of things and, or have a clear, concise idea of what their budget is. And then I also have a budget from our website with the e-store. So this total line item opportunity budget right here, the total of these dollar amounts should equal the total budget of opportunity here. So you can see I have 2,000 plus 1,000 plus 2,000 equals 5,000. And again, I hope that you've completely thought out, like, for example, I mentioned that I was going to join a network, Louisiana Crafts Guild or some other group. Technically, I should have the membership fee for that in here. I should have, if there are fees to do the Etsy or the other online, anything you've mentioned in your application in the narrative section, you should go through and make sure you've addressed all of those in your budget. And if you don't need to pay for some things that, are traditionally you need to pay for, you should make a note of it either in the narrative or the budget. Website, donated in kind. I have a friend that's going to do it for free. Tell me that, or else I'm going to say, well, how are they going to do this website? They haven't even requested money for it. So, make sure that your budget matches what you've said in the narrative. This is amount requested from LCEF. If your budget does not exceed $2,500, you can ask, for whatever you need within the $2,500. If it does, you're going to ask for the max amount, $2,500. Now, my budget is $2,500 more than what I can request from LCEF. So I need to answer this question, other funding sources. So I need to tell you where I'm going to get this other $2,500. Either I've gotten a grant, I have a promise from another company to give it to me, matching funds, whatever. I have money in savings. So in this case, I'm contributing money from my savings. We need to get an idea of where you're going to get this other funding. And then, will funds be used for consulting services? I have yes, that I'm using a web consultant. If you're going to pay any other professional person to do work for you as a result of your grant opportunity, we'd like to know, who they are, do they have any experience, can I maybe look them up on the internet, just to make sure you have a reputable person you're paying money to. And then I talked about the resume upload. So this is the end of the application now. If you remember, I'm going to go back and see what happens. Okay, this was the last page with the budget information. If you can see here that at the top of this page, you can go back to any one of these sections to double check, if you want to edit something. If you got to that page, you say, oh, I want to edit this. I'm going to click on About Your Opportunity. That's going to take me right back here. And I'm going to edit this because I saw that it was an error. And then I'm going to click Save and Proceed. It's going to take me to the budget page. I'm happy with that. I'm going to click, let me talk about the work samples because I didn't talk about that. Okay. This is something new. If you have applied for an EOF grant in the past, you know that we've never required work samples in the past. And this is because, like the Arts Council grants, for example, part of the criteria for judging is based on artistic merit. You'll notice if you look at our criteria, back where I showed you in the guidelines under helpful hints for writing a grant application, we do not include artistic merit as one of the judging criteria. However, in the past, we have done research on people. If you give us a website, we've gone on your website and looked at your work. We've looked things up about you just to make sure that, you're a professional artist working in your field and, what kind of work you're doing. So even though it isn't used as one of the criteria, it is a factor. And because of that, we have had the past couple of years our committee requesting that, we can see some of the work, especially, for example, in this example case that I've presented. I'm creating a new product and you might not be able to visualize what I'm talking about. So I might have a prototype that I've created that I can take a picture of and upload. I might, even if it's just, a line drawing that I've done. So, this work sample allows you to upload maybe pictures of your current work and maybe a picture of your proposed work or a drawing or, some other thing so that we can really visualize what you're doing. My best advice is that you upload anything that you feel is going to support your grant request. So, again, if you have specific questions or want to know if one thing's better than another or whatever, you can give us a call. But the file types we accept here, you can see right here on this list, is just a Microsoft Word, a PDF, an Excel, or a JPEG. So you can upload some JPEG photos. You can upload a Microsoft Word document that may have a picture of what you're trying to do, and then maybe you could type a caption. That would even be better. explaining some information about what's in the picture. Another thing is that if you have video or audio samples you'd like to look at in support of your application, you can't upload those directly here, but you could upload a Microsoft Word document that had internet web links, on YouTube or on your website or whatever, where we could go look at those things. So that's just a little note about the work samples. I'm going to click Save and Proceed. Now this is going to take us again to this Review Your Application page that I went through a minute ago. Scroll through it, and I'm happy with everything here. At the bottom of this page you have the option to click Submit or to click Save Only and come back to it later. If you want to take the option for us to review a draft of your application, you're going to click Save Only, and you're not going to submit it yet. You're ready to submit. Once you click Submit, you'll see that it says once you submit this application, you're unable to make any other changes. So make sure you're ready. So it double checks. Are you sure you want to submit? If you're ready, you click OK. It'll bring you to this page that says Confirmation of Application Receipt. Your proposal was successfully submitted. And scroll down, it gives you this other example. You might want to print this page so that you can have a hard copy of your application for future reference. You don't really need to because you can log into the system again to review it, but some people like to do that. In addition to this confirmation page, you're also going to get an email confirmation receipt. And I didn't talk about this email address, which is something I usually like to do. The email address that you use in the contact information section of your grant application is the email address we're going to use for all correspondence. You're going to get the confirmation that your proposal was submitted. You're going to get notifications of your grant being either rejected or accepted. You're going to get the grant agreement. You're going to get information about reporting dates. This is an important email address. And sometimes people either use temporary workers or interns to fill out the applications, and the correct contact person is not on that email. And I just have to stress, it's very important that you put in, or they create a new email, for some reason. Make sure it's an email address that is checked often. I just really have to stress that because every once in a while we go into that situation. Okay, once I have my confirmation, I can log out, and I'm back to this login page. All right, that is the end of the presentation about the grant application. I would like to open it up now to questions. I don't have any typed questions in the questions box. So if you have any questions that you'd like to type in, you can go ahead and do that, especially if you don't have a microphone. If you have any questions you'd like to ask verbally, you can go ahead and raise your hand, and I will answer those questions one at a time. I see a hand raised right now. Ellen Caluette. Ellen, I think you don't have a speaker. Ellen, can you talk? Ellen, you're unmuted. Yeah, Ellen raised her hand, but I think she doesn't have a speaker on her computer. So, Ellen, if you have a question, you can type it in. And I see someone else that said, I have no mic. If you don't have a mic, you can type in your question. Okay, Dorian. I'm going to currently go through the questions in the box and answer them. Dorian, I can't see who asked this question. Do we need a fiscal agent? Let me expand my screen so I can give you more. Dana Reed, do we need a fiscal agent to apply? No, you do not. If you are an individual or a business, you can apply on your own and you do not need a fiscal agent. The only time you need a fiscal agent to apply is if you're a nonprofit without 501c3 status. And if you have questions about that, which I did review in the other nonprofit webinar, you can call me and I'll walk you through the process. But as an individual, no, you do not. Ellen has no mic. Ellen, if you have a question, type it in or just email me. Do you have examples of successfully submitted past applications? There are if you look on our website under this grantees scroll bar, you can see the past grantees. There's one, the funded opportunities here link is not active right now. But go to this. I think the best way to see the past things we funded is to go under grantees and go to success stories, okay? So you can see some of the people we funded, and there'll be little stories about what they did with the funds and how it was successful for them. Unfortunately, we're having an issue with some of the characters you can see here. Just ignore that. We need to clean that up. But anyway, I think that's the best way to see the types of things we've funded in the past. Can I include increased income from teaching opportunities? If it is directly related to what you're applying for, and if you are not currently a teacher, then yes. And we have awarded grants for teaching opportunities for artists. That is a new opportunity, and you know they're not currently a teacher. So
It says increased teaching opportunities, meaning that they're
Oh, I see you use the word increase next to the word teaching opportunities. I guess I read it fast and only read it once. I would need more information to answer that question. Increased income from teaching opportunities in general, if you're not already a teacher, yes. Increased teaching opportunities, it would need to be something new and different from what you're already doing. So again, maybe you should email us or give us a call to discuss that more specifically with us. Let me see if there are other. When will the grants be rewarded? Okay, I had shown this earlier on in the webinar. Maybe you joined late. Under the EOF grant drop-down, this cycle timeline right here has a complete calendar of the entire EOF cycle. And if you 2012 EOF round, if you click read more, you can see all of these deadlines. The grant application deadline is August 31st. We go through a thorough review process, and we anticipate that we will announce the recipients no later than November 1st. All of the grant funds for the people who are awarded will be paid out before the end of the year. Is the final application copied after submitting? It is available in the online system. For example, I'm just going to go ahead in here and show you. I submitted that mock application that we were just reviewing. So I'm going to go back. If you remember, I clicked on that EOF online application web seminars. I clicked read. Oh no, that's the seminars. Sorry. Go back to the home page. That's the webinar thing. Now, I will note that webinars will be available online in there now that we don't have any more registrations. EOF applications now open. I'm clicking read more. I'm clicking on the individual grant button. Just to refresh, it's bringing me to my login page. I'm emailing with the login, email, and password that I created. I'm clicking login. And you can, oh, this was my individual application. Now, this brings me back to this home page. You can see this, submitted applications. This is the one I just submitted. New product line, innovative sculpture designs. I can click view, and I can take a look at the application I submitted. So, for example, if you didn't, print that confirmation page out and you want to go back and look what you submitted, you just log into the system and view your application. It's going to live there forever and ever. If you submitted an application last year, it's still going to be there. You can take a look at it. When registering to be able to fill out the application for an individual grant and ask for an organization name, would I just put my name there? Yes. I forgot to review that with you. I don't know what these old things are, but I'm going to press continue and show you what I'm talking about. I click to match this, I save and proceed. I'm glad you brought that up because I did forget to point that out. So we have the full name where you type here, you type last name, comma, first name, and you do have, Where is that organization name? Might be in contact information, demographic information, contact information. I'm going to click Create New just for the sake of this exercise. Nope. I don't know where it is, but I know what you're talking about. There is a point where it says organization name. You type last name, comma, first name. And that it's just a thing in the system that couldn't be customized. So that is the answer to that question. Let's see if there are any other questions. Let me take a look at the attendee list and see if there are any hands raised, because I've been answering the typed question. Bradley Bowers, I'm unmuting you. Bradley, hi. Do you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to know if you said the grant is most successful for people that are doing something new. What if you'd been doing research and this grant would help you turn that research into a physical, tangible object?
I think that's very applicable. I mean, because especially if the research you've been doing is for something that's kind of unique, you know.
Okay.
Or if it's just new, if it's just new to you. I mean, the research can only enhance what you're requesting, I would think.
Exactly. And then I had a question. If I needed like, let's say I was doing a project that I needed to pay for the molds to make a piece.
Yeah.
But the funding that you all would provide would cover that. Do I still include the total budget of the full project?
Yes.
Or do you just want, okay.
The total budget of the full project. Like, you need the molds, but you also need other things.
Right.
So I want to know, if we give you the $2,500 for the molds, are you going to be able to finance the rest of the project, or are you getting money from somewhere else? That's exactly what I was talking about with that total opportunity budget.
Mm-hmm.
The total opportunity budget in many cases is greater than the amount you're requesting for a grant, because you know, you need to think about all the elements of the project. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, I'm muting Bradley, and now I'm going to scroll down. Karen Walston has a question. Hi, Karen, your line's unmuted.
Hi, thank you. I had a question about professional fees. If I am going to be collaborating with someone that will receive professional fees for the work he does, is that a collaboration, or is that a...
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. If you are a grant applicant, you cannot receive any of the funds from the grant as professional fees. So as a collaborator, that's, you know, part of the, they're also an applicant. You're just the lead applicant.
I gotcha.
So neither you or your collaborator can receive any of the grant funds as payment for your work. I will also like to point out, I'm glad you asked me that about collaborations. In order to, because some people have said, you know, I'm collaborating with them, but I'm paying them to do the work. You know, how can you tell what's a collaboration and what's not collaboration?
Right.
All parties of the collaboration must benefit financially. So in other words, it's like you're going into business as business partners. Are you going to make the profits and then also they're going to make the profits? Or are you just paying them for their services outright, but they're not going to take a share in the profits of the business? If that's the case, you put them on your application under your budget and list them as a paid consultant and not a collaborator.
Gotcha. Very good.
I hope that makes sense.
No, that's wonderful. That's exactly what I needed. But I have another question.
All right.
If there are going to be volunteer resources being used, such as students assisting, how does one list them?
You mean as part of I would list the explanation of that somewhere in the narrative, wherever it's appropriate, and then possibly in the budget.
Because they won't be paid. They won't be paid. Let's say they're being used to assist in this particular project
Right.
that I'm doing.
Well, then you can put it in the narrative, you know, we're using students to help us execute this portion of what we're doing. They're
Okay.
working as interns or volunteers or whatever. You may or may not put that in your budget. You know, if you feel like you need to list, you know, a lot of time, we don't pay for staff time. And like I just said,
Right.
we don't pay for
I
artists,
understand.
artist
So this is
fees.
more.
But however, you know, when I say that we want to see your total budget of opportunity, many times
Right.
people list staff time as part of their budget. So, or, you know, that kind of thing. So if you're listing staff as part of your budget, you can put, you know, students donated in kind or whatever it is.
Okay, good.
Or
That's
you
what
can
I
just,
needed.
you know, it's okay to list staff time in your total budget of opportunity. It's just not a line item that we're going to cover with the grant funds. And then as far as the students go, you can either list them in the budget as zero or just explain it in the narrative or both.
Right, so I don't have to come up obviously with a price.
No.
Okay. Now for the professional fees, I'm sorry, just on this vein, for the professional fees, it's going to be a total number that I'm going to be paying the consultant. You don't need to see details of like how many hours or do you?
I don't know. Usually it's just a line item, and then in
Okay.
hopefully in the narrative you've explained what that person's going to do
Sure.
for you, but you know,
Okay.
usually that's just a one-line item thing.
Great. Well, thank you. You've answered all my
Okay,
questions.
good. Thank you. All right, I'm going to mute you, and I am going to unmute Kevin Brown. Oh, Kevin, do you have a, let me see. Kevin is calling in on the phone, and unfortunately, I don't think I have the opportunity to listen to someone calling in on the phone because it's showing me the little phone icon. It's not letting me unmute it. Kevin, if you wouldn't mind typing your question, and then of course you can please feel free to call me and ask me your question verbally, personally. Okay, someone is asking, I have 2 projects I'd like to apply for, one for website redevelopment and new product development. Can I use one application for this? Okay, applying for 2 different things under one application is complicated for a couple of reasons. It's because you're not going to be able to be thorough about each of them. And plus, with $2,500, it's probably not going to cover the budget for either of those. If the website redevelopment is in relation to the new product development, it certainly makes sense to combine those 2 and have them under the same application. The word redevelopment is suspect to me. Like, I'm not sure if that would be considered a new opportunity, and it's certainly not unique. So given the choice of these 2, I would go for the new product development. I'll also make a note that I did not mention that as an individual, you are not allowed to submit more than 1 application. So my advice is you choose your best idea and you submit that 1 application. If you are an individual and you also own a business, you can apply under 2 different application types, and you can call me for assistance with this if you're confused of how to do that. The business has to be completely unrelated to what you're applying for as an individual. So that can get kind of, you know, messy if it's not. Same thing with a nonprofit. If you're an individual artist, you also work for a nonprofit, you can definitely submit both of those. But not as an individual, you can't submit more than 1. So the person with the Dorian Fletcher with the website redevelopment, I would just get in touch with me and tell me more specifically what you're trying to do. Okay, I see that your presentation was about a new artwork project. Is there anything specific I would need to know about providing a service or a new unique way to sell artwork? No, absolutely. If you have a new and unique way to do what you're already doing or to do something other people are doing, or if it's a service, you know, I used the example of a product just because I had to come up with an example. But absolutely, if it's a service, you know, I was just trying to give you an idea of what kinds of things we're looking for in the questions. That's why I tried to do like, here's my little scenario, and then here are the questions I want you to answer, you know, in this one question. So absolutely. And that's Mike. If you have any, you know, more specific questions, you can certainly get in touch with me. I might leave the state in the next few months, but why? Whoever's asking that question, and I apologize, Diego. Don't leave Louisiana. It's fantastic. But I would be able to do my work remotely. Would I still be eligible for the grant? I'm already working on this project right now. I mean, technically the work is supposed to be done in Louisiana. I might leave the state in the next few months. I mean, if you need to have a Louisiana address. If you apply for the grant with a Louisiana address and you start the work in Louisiana, I mean, if you have to leave the state, there's no, we're not holding you here with handcuffs or anything. So, I mean, that's going to happen to some artists. If you're leaving the state before the grant deadline, that might be a problem. But maybe you should, as long as you're in Louisiana when you submit the grant and you're starting the work in Louisiana, people have to move for all kinds of reasons. So I hope that answers your question. I know it's kind of vague. If you might have to leave, then I would just apply as a Louisiana resident because it doesn't sound like it's definite. Oh, here we go. Bob Andrews, how does the draft review work? Does one need to request a view, or are all applications submitted before August 15th review? No. If you submit an application before August 15th, then it's submitted. If you want us to review it, you need to, I just lost that question for some reason. Dorian, did you answer it?
Yeah.
Oh, don't answer them right now because I'm going to go through it verbally.
I understand that, but why did it disappear for you? You have to mark the show answer questions.
No, I don't want to answer questions that are already answered, but I'd like to answer all the questions verbally so that everyone can benefit from the answers. So to answer your question about the draft applications and maybe to help other people with that, just when you get to the end of the application, click the Save Only and not the Submit. I know I don't want to see that. I just want to answer unanswered questions.
Other people might want it.
No, just don't answer the questions. Sorry, little in-house. So Dorian has been answering a bunch of questions, but I'm going to go through and verbally answer whatever's left. At any rate, I know we answered your question, but if you have an application you'd like us to review, you just email, you don't submit it, and you email us your email and password login, or you can call our office with that information and we'll take a look at it and get back with you. Ed Bishop, hi, how are you doing? Can you submit a collaborative application with an arts organization? Absolutely. An individual, a nonprofit, a business can all team up. It just, for the common goal. And like I said before, each member of the collaborative must benefit financially. So if you're partnering with a nonprofit as an individual, then you must earn some of the profits from the opportunity as the individual, and the nonprofit should also earn profits or somehow benefit financially. Can I get a copy of the example application from today's webinar? Sure. I'll go ahead and email that to the group that was on the webinar today so that you'll all have a copy of it. Email sample application. I'm writing myself a note. I have a question here from Christine. I am promoting my new idea for classes and birthday parties. My classes and parties are for children and adults. I'm an artist and work with hard-shell gourds, creating gallery fine art. My classes are letting people do a variety of craft items. Sounds like this is a really long question that we should maybe email each other. Since I am giving these classes, does that disqualify me under teaching? This is a really long question, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get every element of it, but if you're already teaching classes, you cannot apply for a grant to teach those same classes. If you're already teaching classes and there are new classes that you want to teach, then that's a possibility. It sounds like the questions you're asking, maybe just email us or call us separately, because I don't want to get into a lot of specific scenarios for the webinar. I'm trying to do things that benefit the group. Thank you all for saying thank you. The resume, someone's asking about the resume, what sort of things do you consider a working artist? We don't have a time limit of how long you should have been working. It says you do freelance web design and you have interned at a studio. Those are kinds of things that can go on your resume. You've started teaching classes. I mean, all of these things qualify for things that you've done as a working artist. If you have gallery representation, if you've sold any of your work, if you're, members of the Arts Council or members of any other organization like that, all those kinds of things can go on your resume, and it will definitely count. Some people don't have as extensive resumes as other people, and that's okay. We just want to make sure that you're currently doing work as an artist. So anything that you can put on there to show us what your professional activities are is acceptable. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay, Lenny, how do you prove that you have a Louisiana address? I'm having difficulty getting a driver's license. I mean, whatever your address is, you enter that address in the contact information. If you have a Louisiana address, you enter that address into the contact information. We don't ask for a copy of your driver's license, but please note that is the address we will use to correspond with you, and that is the address we'll mail the checks to. So all you need to do is enter that address into the system. What if I'm a Louisiana business, but I want to solicit my services in other states as well? That's awesome. We love that. We love any applicant opportunities that can bring business into Louisiana, or that allow you to travel to other states that do work. All of that is very beneficial to our cultural economy. So I hope you can be successful with that. Receiving the grant would definitely help me stay here. That's wonderful, Diego. I hope you can receive the grant, and I hope you can stay in Louisiana. But if you have to leave, we understand. Again, thank you for saying thank you. A lot of people have had to go off, but I'm still trying to get to every single question. A lot of the grantees for individual projects are visual artists. Could you give me some specific examples of past funded projects for writers? Delaney, why don't you call me separately and let's talk about what your ideas are. We have funded writers in the past. One thing I can think of off the top of my head is that, it's hard. A lot of writers will, try to apply for researching their books or stuff, and a lot of that stuff involves paying themselves for the time, which is not something funded under our grant opportunity. We'll pay, to help you get an agent, to help you make copies of manuscripts to submit. We paid people for if their book was recently released and they wanted to do a book tour to promote the book, things like that. Anything that can translate into direct sales. So you can give me a call to discuss some of your ideas or where you are in your career and what makes sense. I hope that helps. Does an actor qualify as a working artist? Well, absolutely. I'm an actor too. Or are you looking at fine arts such as music and painting? We support the cultural economy of Louisiana, and I wish I would have said this a long time ago earlier in the presentation. The cultural economy includes any person who contributes to the culture, whether you're a performing artist, and that includes actors, musicians, dancers, storytellers, poets, whether you're a literary artist like a writer, whether you're an architecture person, visual arts, fine arts, digital media, graphic design, film, culinary arts. There's a list on our website of all the different, but we will fund any artistic discipline. So if you have any other more specific questions, you can let me know. Okay, I think I've taken care of all of the written questions, and I don't see any other hands raised. And y'all, this has been a wonderful group, and you've had some wonderful questions of things that I probably should have covered in the webinar and didn't, because it is a whole lot of information. So I appreciate your time in learning about our grant program, and I look forward to hearing from you and hearing all of your exciting ideas. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.